Everything's looking good, Jazmynn.
Perfect. I was just trying to see if I could bring the chat back up. Okay. Well, I'm sure Andrew will assist me if you guys are dropping some things in the chat. So again, as Andrew said, my name is Jazmynn Appleton. I am the Chief Director of Entrepreneurial Growth and Innovation at the Progress Center for Black Women here in downtown Madison. We have a co-working space here on the square. I am also and been dabbling in public speaking. I cook. I love to cook. I'm starting a private chef business soon, and I am a mama. I do have a 9-year-old son, so I am really happy to be here and share my experiences, especially considering my journey to getting to where I am today as a young mother. This is definitely something I am very passionate about. So thank you again for attending this workshop, and let's get right into it. So before I move on to the next slide, I do want to see if you guys can just drop some or drop your ideas in the chat about what networking means to you, and how do you feel about networking? What are some of your experiences with networking? If you just want to drop a couple of keywords in the chat for me, what does networking mean to you?
Jazmynn, while some of those folks are typing their responses, I know for me personally, it's it's a way to meet speakers such as yourself, and certainly gain various insights and ideas that help me in my personal and professional life. Connection and inspiration I'm seeing coming in here, connecting, relationship building,
Oh, and it
connecting with others.
looks like I was able to get the chat open, so perfect. So connecting with others, expanding resources. I love it. Relationship building. Yeah, so it is all of those things. So thank you for dropping those in the chat. So definitely just keep those in mind as we're going through this workshop. And then maybe think about at the end, after I go through everything, what is networking to you now after I've demonstrated this workshop. So I do want to also ask, or just think about too, while you were going through this, think about what you really admire about yourself. And think about one thing that you would like to improve on this year as far as networking. All right. Okay, so today's goal is creating your own networking system. So I really want to get started with how you can get your own networking system in place. So some of the things that we're going to kind of start working through today is starting an elevator pitch to really talk about who you are, what you do, what you bring to the table, what some of your skills are. But this is going to be something that's very brief and concise. So you want to keep that in the back of your mind as well. And this is something you don't want to over rehearse either, because you don't want it to sound very like generic. You really just want to be able to start talking about your elevator pitch, talking about who you are very naturally. We're going to kind of talk about creating a packing list. So this is something that's been really helpful for me before I go into a networking event, especially if it's something that I'm going to be vending or tabling at. So this can be, what are some things that are essential to bringing to the networking event? Essentials. This could be like business cards, something that showcase what you do. You also want to be mindful of not carrying in like a lot of large bags or something that's going to distract you from when you're talking and networking with others. Something to write with is always good to have, something to store other business cards in, and so forth. We're also going to talk about setting SMART goals. So SMART goals are very measurable, specific, and attainable. So we'll get into this in a little bit, but this is going to help you really guide yourself into how you're networking and really creating those relationships and maintaining those relationships. We're going to also talk about setting or asking open-ended questions when you're networking with others, and then updating your social media. I'm going to give you some examples about how you can update your social media, specifically LinkedIn, because that's usually used in professional spaces. However, I would suggest updating your social media in general, and that can be including like Facebook, Instagram, or whatever you are using frequently. And then finally, showing up as your best self. So you really want to make sure that although there is usually some dress codes to some of these networking events, which is totally fine. Still make sure that you are dressing comfortably, dressing in your own style, because again, when you look good, you feel good. So you want to make sure you're always showing up as your best self. All right, so let's get into it. So, what is a networking system? So, some things that have really helped me as far as growing from being very introverted, very shy, to now being very engaging, reaching out to people, initiating conversations, is some of these things I have up here. So, self reflection. So, really reflecting on why are you going to this networking event? What are you expecting to get out of it? So targeted event selection, that can include choosing events that you feel fit your needs and your purpose currently. Why are you attending this event? What is something that you know you can get out of this event? So really strategizing what events are you going to and why. Preparation. So it's always good to do some research beforehand. Research who's going to be in the building so you know who you plan on talking to, research where it's going to be at. So you're making sure you're showing up on time, how to get there. So just those odds and end things that you want to do to make sure that you're prepared going into any networking event, whether it be for your business, if you're an entrepreneur, or for your career. Even if it's personal, you always want to just make sure you're prepared. So setting goals. So again, we're going to talk about setting SMART goals. But for example, you want to, especially starting out, if you're someone who's new to networking, you really want to think about, okay, what are some goals that I can obtain while at a networking event? So for example, this could be, I would want to talk to at least 3 people when I get there. I would want to hand out maybe 10 business cards. So start thinking about some of those goals that you know that you can set for yourself, something that's realistic, and start out small and then grow into bigger goals. Networking buddy system. So this has been very, very helpful for me. Considering, again, I used to be very shy and introverted. So the networking buddy system is where you just bring someone along with you. That's really what it is. Bring someone who you know is really good at talking, who's good at networking, who's good at moving around the room, and that may actually know some of the people that are going to be in there so that they can help introduce you, just make you feel more comfortable. And then bringing them to at least a couple of the first events that you're going to will really help you come out of your shell, excuse me. Strategic breaks. So I know, especially for myself as an introvert, I need to take breaks. I need to take breaks to recharge. So, for example, if you are, if you went to like 5 networking events in the last couple of months, maybe take, a month or 2 off just to really recharge, refocus, recenter yourself. Because again, as an introvert, you need that time to have to yourself to be able to go back out into that world and to continue networking and talking to people, which is very important, all about self-care. Having a follow-up plan. So this is very essential to not only creating relationships but to maintaining them as well. You want to make sure that you're not just grabbing people's business cards and then that's it. You're not reaching out or anything like that. So you want to make sure you have a plan to reach out to these people. You want to make sure you have a plan to reach out to them with a plan of what you would like to discuss. If you would like to meet with them, maybe offer to meet them somewhere that's near them, and so forth. Utilizing online platforms. So a lot of what I've been using at networking events, again, is LinkedIn. So for example, I went to Ford Fest last year and I was on a panel during that event. And one of the ways I connected with a lot of the people that I met there in person was to do LinkedIn. So we connect on LinkedIn, and then I'll make sure that we kind of go over, and I'll actually show you my LinkedIn profile to give you some examples about how you can stay updated. But make sure you have a good picture and that it's noticeable to everyone. There is a setting on LinkedIn where it allows only people that you've recently connected with or have as a connection currently to see your picture. So make sure you have some good pictures up there. Make sure you have what you do and all that good stuff. So we'll definitely go over that a little bit later. Continue learning. So whatever field or industry you're in, continue learning, continue taking different training and development opportunities. Continue just expanding your mind in whatever networking events that you're going to, as far as the information that they'll be sharing, who's going to be there, and so forth. Because this is really going to help you continue your conversations. I know that when you are going to, networking events and you may not know all about whatever's being discussed or whatever the theme is of the networking event can be a bit difficult because you don't really know what to say. So definitely just make sure you're continuing to educate yourself. Track your progress. So even if it's just like a little journal, something on your computer where you have a calendar and you're marking off networking events, but track your progress. Track how many networking events you're going to. Track the goals that you're setting and hitting at those networking events, the relationships you're creating, and this is going to really help you get that confidence to continue building upon that. And then finally, celebrating your achievements. So celebrate yourself. If you're someone, again, who is very introverted and shy, you definitely want to make sure you are always congratulating yourself, giving yourself your pat on the back, because going out into networking events and talking to people, just talking to people in general, is not easy to do. So being able to come out of your shell and to really talk about, something that you're passionate about, or maybe even learning about something that you may not know too much about yet is really essential. So definitely celebrate yourself at all times. All right, so the power of networking. So I'm just going to share a little backstory. So I graduated high school, and I was 8 months pregnant at my high school graduation. I was a young mama. I did end up attending college and taking a few courses, but I did not get my degree. I decided to then go into the field of credit union, so working in the financial industry. I grew a lot throughout my time there. I went from a cashier to teller supervisor to a financial coach. That was all through networking, and networking brought me those opportunities, brought me those people who were putting me into other rooms where I can get more opportunities. So networking is very, very powerful. Now today I am the chief director at a very well-known nonprofit organization. And I got here very quickly. So it's all about networking, networking, networking. So here are some components that you can really get out of networking and just talking to people. Because again, it is a lot of it has to do about who you know and not always what you know. So career opportunities, again, kind of what I was talking about with my personal experience, being able to really elevate yourself within whatever workforce industry that you're in, or as an entrepreneur, being able to bring awareness to your business. Personally, if you're just trying to create more social connections for yourself, it's very important to network and get yourself out there. Knowledge sharing. So one of the biggest things I've gotten is just the overall knowledge that I've received from talking to people from different areas of their life who have different skill sets, different mindsets. You get a lot of knowledge out of just simply talking to people and finding out about who they are. Um, Collaboration. So this is also big too if you're an entrepreneur, even if you're a someone in the workforce development, but this is really good to build relationships in order to, build or lead collaborative projects. If you're an entrepreneur, this may be good if you're wanting to get your business out there, but in a unique and different way, and collaborating with the business that may already be well known. Personal development. So networking really increases your confidence and makes you feel good. It just overall improves your mindset in certain areas when you're talking to people. So it's really, it's also a personal benefit as well, not just career wise or professional wise. It increases your visibility. So if you're someone who is trying to get your name out there, depending on what you may do for a living or what you want to do, it definitely increases your visibility to your community and to the network of people who are in those events that you're attending. Gives you lots of access to resources. So like, for example, there's a lot of vending events that happen here in Madison for entrepreneurs. So they're able to share resources with one another, whether it be something about just overall expanding their businesses, getting some marketing assistance, anything of that sort. It also just builds your professional support system. So if you're someone who doesn't have a huge support system currently, whether it be professionally or personally, this may be very beneficial to you to creating those relationships. It helps enhance some of your skills. And this doesn't just have to be like technical skills. This can be, your overall maybe working through problem solving, stuff like that. Talking to others, building relationships. It's building those personal and professional skills. It helps you stay informed about what you have going on, and what's going on within your community, within your network, and then again, boosting your confidence. All right. So some networking strategies that you can ease into. So one, setting those realistic goals beforehand so that you're not feeling so overwhelmed when you're interacting with people. I highly recommend starting out by choosing smaller events first and then leaning into maybe some bigger events. And this allows you to really create some more meaningful connections too if you're starting small versus feeling that pressure of going into large crowds. Listening actively. So a big thing that I've always practiced is just being a good listener. Sometimes it's not always you going in and having to talk, which, for introverts, we usually are very good listeners and we have that solid foundation of how important it is to really listen to somebody and take in that information, but also listening to really hear them and not just to respond. So definitely practice good listening, your good listening skills, and showing genuine interest in whoever you're talking to. So again, utilizing those online platforms. This can also help you do research prior to the events too. But then afterwards, like, hey, I met so and so. Let me go look up and see more about what he does. Sending those follow-up emails. So definitely, this is something that will help you strengthen those connections. And usually introverts, which you may be aware of, we usually shine in written communication. So writing, typing, emails, that kind of stuff, we usually are excelling in. So you can use this to your advantage. Creating that again, professional support system, so this can help you get through certain challenges you may be facing. Offering any type of advice that you may need, encouragement, giving you that motivation to, hey, you came to this first networking event, let's keep going, let's keep you going in that right direction. Enhancing those skills, staying informed. Make sure you are also finding a networking buddy as well too, so that you can bring along with you. Creating those meaningful connections, and then scheduling yourself some breaks as well. Schedule yourself some time to really just take care of you and what you need. All right. Okay, so I'm excited about this slide. So if you guys can just take a couple seconds, couple minutes, and really think about three strengths and three weaknesses about yourself. And maybe, try to make it related to networking, but overall, just write down like three strengths and three weaknesses that you know you have about yourself. And this is going to help build the foundation of starting your own elevator pitch. And so while you're doing that, just to kind of help give you some ideas. So extroverts are usually more easily able to foster early stages of relationships. However, introverts tend to possess certain strengths that help us create and maintain those relationships. And that's through our strengths such as empathy, understanding, being good listeners. So if you know you practice showing empathy, practice showing understanding, practice showing good listening skills. Those can be some of your strengths that you list down. We really have a good ability to hold deep connections and relationships. So this will help us really create a good system for us, knowing that what our strengths are, knowing what our weaknesses are, and how we can address some of those fears when we're initiating dialogue with others and interacting with strangers, working the room. And then once you write down those three strengths and three weaknesses, if you can just kind of reflect on how you can use those strengths to really improve some of your networking skills. All right. And then if you can name one way that you can address some of those weaknesses you wrote down to overcome your fears of networking. So what are some things that you can work towards to address some of those weaknesses? And how do you feel like that will be beneficial? So I see in the chat someone said, "What if your biggest weakness is asking for assistance?" Okay, so I would say for that one is really just knowing what you need so that when you do approach someone, you know exactly what you're going to say and what you're looking to get out of the conversation. And also remember too, when you're asking for assistance, this is really just to help develop yourself, and this is going to benefit you in the long run. If you never ask for help, you may not grow. So you want to always remember and remind yourself that asking for assistance is really a good thing. And the worst someone can say is like no. But at the end of the day, usually people will want to help you and they want to make sure that you can reach your full potential as well, too, especially when you're reaching out to people who care about you or who know what you're trying to do. Also, so creating your elevator pitch is very essential too, because it really reminds yourself of the value that you bring into any room that you enter. So always remember, if you don't remember anything else, remember that you bring value into the room, no matter what you're doing. So if you guys can just take a second and drop in the chat maybe some of the thoughts you had around your weaknesses and how you plan to address them, or drop in the chat some of your strengths. I want to see what some of your strengths are, if you're willing to share. Don't feel pressured to have to share. Creativity, curiosity. Yes, saying no. Oh my gosh, that is a big one. Saying no is so essential, especially for introverts or people who may be more of a people pleaser because it can really, really drain you. Creativity, understanding. So those who are saying creativity, that's something you can really use to be creative when you are going into networking events. So thinking about how you can creatively approach someone and come up with some unique conversations or good conversation starters. Very organized, yes. So that'll help you network, being prepared to network, what to bring, always thinking about what you will say instead of focusing on what the yeah. So sometimes too, you might just be shy because this may not be something that aligns with your purpose currently. So always make sure you are aligning things with your purpose, with your needs. Yes, I love to see it. All right. Okay, so now we're going to move on to talking about SMART goals. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals that helps you really focus in and hone in on the goals that you want to achieve and focus on your efforts. So before attending a networking event, these are some of the things I really want you to think about reflecting on. What kind of event you're going to, whether it's professional, personal, doing your research, writing down some questions to remind yourself about some of the things that you're wanting to ask. Now, you can write down questions when you know who's going to be in the room and what kind of things you're going to want to know more about. Also, too, when you're asking questions, make sure there are open-ended questions. You don't want to ask questions where you're going to get a straight yes or no answer. You really want to ask questions that are going to allow them to let the conversation flow and to keep moving forward. And then finally, have a plan to follow up. So let's say, for example, you got 10 business cards and you're going to maybe take a business card a day to reach out to one person a day with a nice email saying, hey, I met you at so-and-so event. It was so nice talking to you about whatever you were talking about. I would love to schedule a time to follow up with you or have a phone conversation, meet in person at whatever place is more comfortable for you to connect and dive deeper into this conversation. Something like that. So make a plan to follow up. If you're planning on following up through email, make sure you have a good email address for them, good contact info. Make sure you have their LinkedIn profile if you plan to reach out via social media. So just make sure things are aligned so that you are able to follow up in a timely way. All right. So listening to some of those, listening to what SMART goals are and how you can kind of prepare yourself for the event, I want you to take a couple minutes here to think about 1 to 2 SMART goals that you can set for yourself in 2024. So, for example, making the SMART goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, which is what SMART stands for. I'll give you a few examples. So, for specific, you can say by the end of the next 3 months, I will attend at least 2 industry related networking events and actively engage in meaningful conversations with at least 5 new professionals. That's something that's very specific. Measurable will be I will track my progress by keeping a record of these events and the number of new connections I'm making, the depth of those conversations, and I aim to have a minimum at least 5 new connections. Achievable, so this is something that you feel internally that you can achieve and that is realistic to you. So achievable can be, given my current schedule, I would like to commit to at least 2 to 3 networking events this year where I will prioritize events that align with my current interests. Relevant. So again, something relevant will be relevant to your current career, the business you're starting, or the business you're operating. What are some of your personal development goals? So relevant can be, I want to improve my networking skills so that it aligns, with my career goals. Something like that. And then time bound will be, I will achieve this goal within the next 3 months. So having a timeline for yourself. And that way it helps give you that extra push to really get it done if you have a due date on something. All right. So if anybody is willing to share any of their goals that they might have written down or that they're thinking about. What are some of your goals? So for me, I can write down a goal. So my goal is to not only continue getting public speaking bookings throughout the year, but to attend at least another 10 to 12 networking events by the end of December of 2024. So that's something that I'm working towards personally. But I know that it is something that is attainable and measurable and achievable because in my career field, I am constantly networking. I'm always going to networking events. I'm always attending events of the entrepreneurs that I assist within my day-to-day job. So that is something I know I can achieve. All right, let's look at some of your goals. Attend to networking events in your field of interest. Perfect. Meeting new groups or people that will expand your exposure, expanding your efforts beyond your usual groups. I love it. Collaborating with more industry professionals to make education content. Ooh, that's specific. I love it. Attending a networking event later this month and holding yourself accountable with follow-up. I love it. I love it. So keep those goals written down right next to the start of the elevator pitch that we used, because this will help you really hone in on what you plan to do with networking. I love it. All right, so this is going to be demonstration of how I personally have updated my LinkedIn profile and how I've utilized it to really create some of those connections that I've been building since I've been putting myself out there more within my career field. So some of the things you'll want to do when you are updating your LinkedIn profile is updating your professional photos. So you want to try to have some nice headshots. You don't want to really have pictures where you're in the car and you're taking a selfie, stuff like that. Try to have some nice headshots, even if it's someone just taking a nice photo of you on their iPhone, where it's just a plain background, a nice professional headshot. Make sure again that those photos can be seen by others, by the public, so that when people are adding you, that they know for sure it is you. In the beginning part of your LinkedIn profile, you want to include a summary of, your overall experience and your skill set, but this also gives you the opportunity to really tell a story. So not telling a story as in lying, but telling a story as in, okay, this is what I have done within my career field. This is how far I've advanced. These are some of the skills that I've obtained throughout my journey, some of those things that you want to be thinking about. I do know that there is also a book that I have that I, of course, forgot to bring, but I can send those out if you guys follow up with me, the title to that book, but it's a really good tool that you can use to updating your LinkedIn profile and how you can use it to your advantage. Request recommendations from your current network. So people that you are currently connected with on LinkedIn and that you may know personally and professionally, request a recommendation for them. And this is basically them endorsing you about your skill set and what you do. So for example, I just won the 2024 Bravo to Women to Watch this year. And as I was going through my application, I asked and reached out to my current network of people who could send me some recommendations and put that on my LinkedIn profile. Because when people are going to your LinkedIn profile, they want to also see, okay, here are some basically references as far as what Jazmynn is doing. So definitely request some recommendations. Don't be shy to reach out and ask them. And there's literally a tool that you can use that just sends the recommendation request so that you don't have to personally reach out and do that for you. Thank you. Thank you. Post content related to your industry. So if you're following people who are also in the same industry as you can repost some of their posts that they're sharing, some great articles that may be relevant to what's going on currently, posting some nice quotes, some motivational quotes, just something that's related to whatever your industry you're in. You also want to make sure you're interacting consistently with other people. This really allows your visibility, to increase on LinkedIn. So whether you're replying to comments, whether you're liking, sharing posts, you want to make sure that you're just interacting as much as you can on LinkedIn. Now, I'm not saying you have to go on there every single day and post something, or go on there and comment on every single person's post, but try to comment to at least maybe 2 to 3 people a few times a week, and that should really help increase your visibility on LinkedIn. Have a catchy headline, so I will actually show you that in just a second, but excuse me, this is something that's going to be like a quick 1 to 2 sentence blurb about what you do on the day-to-day, and then include links. So let's go ahead and I'm going to bring up my LinkedIn profile here. Okay, so as you can see, I have some nice professional headshots. These were actually the pictures that I got taken for my Bravo Women to Watch Award this year. So the headline that I was referring to is this right here under your name. So for example, mine is creating growth opportunities for Black entrepreneurs to thrive and expand their businesses by means of mentoring, support, program cultivation, and resource navigation. So this is what I do on day-to-day working here at the Progress Center for Black Women. I also included a link here that actually takes you to my employee video for the Progress Center. And that really showcases some of the things that I'm doing with entrepreneurs on a day-to-day. So being able to see see yourself in action and allow others to see yourself in action as far as your career field or what your business is. That really helps people get to know you better and create some of those relationships. As you scroll down, featured. So this box here has been really nice too, because I've been uploading any articles that have, are you guys able to hear me? It looks like someone said they lost sound. You guys can hear me? Okay,
You're coming
perfect.
in clear over here. Yep.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure. So this allowed me to link articles, excuse me, that I was featured in. So that kind of showcases too, what is the impact of the work that I'm doing in my community. Your activity is going to showcase your content that you're posting. So any reposts, any original posts that you're making. So having related content so that people can check that out and educate themselves as well is important. And then about is going to include, excuse me, some of your skill set. It's going to include that summary. So this is where you have the opportunity to tell a story about your journey as far as your career and how you've gotten to where you have gotten. Your work history. So you definitely want to make sure, and especially if you are applying for jobs, you want to make sure that you have your experience up to date, your education listed if you would like to include that, any licensing and certifications. Those are essential to have too. Volunteer opportunities, skills, and then this is the recommendations that I was referring to earlier. So people in my network that I've worked with, that I've mentored, that I've worked alongside, that I've volunteered for, those are the people that I reached out to personally to get some of that feedback so that it's on my profile and it stays there so people can say, oh yeah, Katrina validated what Jazmynn does on a day-to-day. So those are just some of the things that you can look at. All right. So what do you bring to a networking event? You probably may be aware of this, but it is good to kind of remind yourself of some things that you should be bringing to the networking events that you are attending. So business cards.
Jazmynn, real quickly, there was a question that came in regards to LinkedIn. Is your
Oh,
LinkedIn profile that you just showed, is that a premium or a free version? And I don't know if you could speak to any about the differences in regards to that.
yeah, absolutely. So I have the free version. I personally did not feel the need to have the premium yet. If you are a business owner, it may be essential to have the premium account. I personally, however, felt that the things that I'm able to access on LinkedIn with the free account, what I'm able to do with my profile has been enough for me, and it's been able to showcase what I want to showcase. So I don't recommend you get premium unless you feel like it's really a need, because I don't want to, suggest something that costs money. However, I know the LinkedIn premium, if you do pay for it, it is worth it. So it's all up to you and what your preference is and what you feel like you currently need right now. But I would suggest too, just kind of taking a second to maybe look up what are some of the tools and resources that come with the LinkedIn premium, and if that aligns with what you're trying to do. All right. Okay, so what do you bring to a networking event? Business cards. So making sure you have business cards, making sure that their contact information is up to date on those business cards. Something that represents you or your business or your career. This can be like a little pamphlet, a flyer, just something that is small enough to kind of carry with you, but also something that represents you that you can give to them for them to take home with them as well, with whoever you're trying to create those connections with. Something to take notes with, excuse me, is very important too. I wouldn't say that you need a huge like journal or a binder or anything like that, but just maybe something small to jot down a few notes so that you're remembering who you talked to and what you guys talked about, so that when you go back out to follow up with them and reach out to them, you are also remembering excuse me, what some of the things that you talked about so you can continue those conversations. Um, So I see a comment that says also bring to a networking event curiosity about others and willingness to connect. Yes, absolutely. So you want to make sure that you're coming to a networking event ready to learn, ready to take in information, ready to open up yourself to be able to create those connections as well. So absolutely. Thank you for bringing that. Would you recommend bringing resumes just in case? I would recommend bringing a resume if you're going to something like a job fair or if you know you are actively looking for a new position elsewhere. It may be essential just to have it handy. However, if you know that you have a resume up to date and that you can send it to them at a later date too, you at least have that ready. I wouldn't say you have to bring it, but it may be something that you might want to consider if you're going to like a job fair or something of that sort. Make sure you are remembering or bringing written down questions that you may have for people, what your goals are, so that you can remind yourself, okay, this is what my goal is, and this is what I want to achieve during my time at this networking event. Breath mints. Okay, so I had to put this down because yes, you're going to be actively talking to people. You're going to be, in kind of an intimate space. So you want to be fresh. Don't bring gum though, because you don't want to be sitting there chewing and just in their face. I wouldn't recommend that. Confidence. So I I wouldn't say that confidence is something that you just wake up with overnight. I know you can't just always walk into something with all of this automatic confidence. However, if you are prepared, if you've done your research, if you know why you're going there, if you know what you're there for and who you're going to talk to, if you dressed well or dressed to where you are comfortable and you feel your best self in whatever you're wearing, your hair is nice, all those good things, you smell good, all those little things add up to helping you build that confidence when you're entering any room. And remembering that you bring value into those rooms that you are entering. So don't think that, oh, I've never been to a networking event, so I don't have any value. You do have any value because you have some type of skill set that some other people may want to learn more about, or people may just want to know about your journey. People may be able to relate to you and your experiences. So being able to just have that natural confidence when you're entering a room. Electronic business cards. Yes, that's actually a good idea. So a lot of people are now using QR codes to build out their business cards. And some people, like for example, my boss, Sabrina Madison, she actually has a platform where you scan a QR code. It takes you to her LinkedIn, her email, and contact info. So you can also use those as well too. Um, how do you network in non-traditional settings? So you want to, in non-traditional settings, I would say just remember to be open-minded and to also just feel like it's a normal conversation. You don't have to go in there having a pitch if it's not really a non-traditional type of setting. Just go in there having natural, organic conversations is very essential. Friend suggested that I should take a selfie with some people and send this picture to the person when I send the email, or print a copy with a written note, but I feel awkward asking for a selfie. Um, I don't think that's necessary. I know for me personally, when I'm at networking events, I do like to take pictures so that I can later post them on LinkedIn, like, hey, I connected with so and so at this event. And then you can tag them. And that way, too, you're also reconnecting with them on social media. I don't think you necessarily need to send the picture in an email or anything of that sort. But so sometimes taking selfies are fun, and it also helps keep the conversations flowing and keeps the environment just feeling light and having good energy. So pictures in general are always a good thing if there's something that they're comfortable with. Breath mints, that's real talk. Yes. All right. And then again, just bring yourself. Bring you as your best self. Make sure you're comfortable, ready to go, prepared, and just show up as you. Remember that networking, especially in professional settings, it doesn't always have to be so like tight and strict. It's really just about being yourself, bringing what, showing what you have on the table and bringing that to them, and just having normal, organic conversations. It doesn't have to be something that's fearful or you have to come in there with a suit and a tie. It's not always that case. So when approaching someone you don't know, here are a couple of tips that I find helpful when you are, just coming up and talking to strangers. So again, asking those open-ended questions. This allows a conversation to keep moving forward and flowing organically. So for example, instead of just asking someone, what's your job title? Because that's just going to be a one word or couple word answer. You can say, what do you do for a living and what does that entail? What does your day to day look like at your job? What is something that you've been working on that you are really excited about? Those are some examples of open-ended questions that you can ask. Good conversation starters. So don't be afraid of small talk, because that's usually how conversations kind of start. So for example, you could be, going to get food and you see someone there that you want to talk to and be like, oh, hey, this food looks really good. Like, what do you think? Or have you tried it yet? Just don't be afraid of the small talk, because that can be something that really helps kind of spark the conversation. Don't force it either. You don't want to force conversation or make it seem like if you're not meant to be there. So really pay attention to your body language, because people can sense this from across the room and they may not approach you if they feel like you are very nervous. So just remember to have good posture, just feel that confidence within yourself and showcase that to others. And just breathe and remind yourself you have a purpose for being there. You're there for a reason. You were invited for a reason, or you have a plan for why you are there. If someone that you are wanting to talk to is currently in a conversation with someone else and it looks like they may be kind of lingering there for a while, you can choose to either give it a couple minutes and see if they decide to, kind of disperse, or you can just politely walk up to them. And I mean, I don't recommend initially just touching someone or tapping them, but if you feel that kind of vibe, or just saying, hello, I just wanted to quickly introduce myself and I'm hoping to, have a conversation with you once you are, done with your current conversation. So just making sure that you are letting people know that you're there and making them aware that you're there. Having someone, so the networking buddy, this is also a good tip to, if you're approaching someone that you don't know, have them introduce you, have them say, hey, this is my friend so and so, and she would love to, have a conversation with you, or I just wanted to introduce you to my friend. Make sure that you have a networking buddy so that you feel comfortable. And then again, treat the conversation like a normal conversation. Be yourself. You don't have to try to be someone else or have this certain persona about you. Just really going there knowing that you have a purpose for being there. And then I know we're almost coming up on time. So one of the things that's really helped me to come out of my shell from being very introverted to shy is finding my passions. So for example, during the pandemic, I was working in the credit unions. I ended up losing my job due to having to be at home with my son, and I didn't have any childcare. So I decided to take that as an opportunity to refresh and start over again. So I use this as, okay, let me reach out to, contacts or people that I've met recently to get into a whole new career field. And then I ended up reaching out to Sabrina Madison. We got connected. I started my job here, and I noticed I naturally started to just come out of my shell and be this more engaging, talkative, social person, because I realized this is something that I am passionate about. This is something that I am interested in. And when you're passionate, interested, and knowledgeable about something, it's going to be easy to just talk through it naturally and organically. So take some time to explore your interests, find your passion, whether it be within your career, whether it be starting a business or a hustle or a hobby. And then when you're doing those things, paying attention to how it makes you feel internally, because this may be your calling. This may be something that you are truly passionate about. So I've seen a question, any suggestions for politely ending a conversation? I've networked. Yes. So sometimes when you are networking, conversations can kind of drag. If you're kind of ready to, end the conversation, if your social battery's running out or you got to go, just say, hey, I saw one of my colleagues over there. I think I'm just going to go say hi quickly. Or, um, this was a really great conversation. I would love to follow up and talk more with you later. Can I email you next week or the next day? So stuff like that. So that can be part of your follow-up plan. Because I know, again, as introverts, our social battery can run out. So you can say, I would love to follow up with you later and continue this conversation. Or, you can make the excuse of, oh, I politely have to go. I have to go attend to some duties that I have, something like that. So it can be very polite, but you also want to make sure that you're paying attention to you and yourself and what you currently need. So if your social battery is running out, I don't think there's a problem with you finding ways to end the conversation if need be. But yes, following up with them is a good way to kind of end the conversation, and then you guys can talk at a later date. Also too, I want to mention that recently I wrote a chapter for a book for the Madison Area Business Consultants Group called Wish We Had Known Volume 2. And in that chapter, I talk about really finding your passion and how it's personally helped me to get out of my shell. So I would definitely take a look at that. It is on Amazon, but it's something that really resonated with me because finding your passion helps you naturally just start doing things that you may have not done before. All right, so one quick activity, and you don't have to write this down. I would recommend it, but you don't have to. So when you're finding comfort outside of your comfort zone, because this is really going to help you release that introverted cap that you have on yourself. Think about one thing that you've ever done outside of your usual norm, or a time when you just put yourself out there, and think about how did it make you feel? Would you do it again? Did it give you some type of boost of confidence? And this will really help you think about, what some of your interests are. What may be your passion? What may be something that helps you get out of that comfort zone? The book is Wish We Had Known Volume 2. So just take a quick second to think about that. So other techniques that may help. So positive affirmations has been something that has been really great for me. Absolutely. Yes, I can put it in the chat. So positive affirmations has been something that I have practiced daily. So literally all it is just waking up, telling yourself, I am a good networker. I'm a good public speaker. I can create meaningful connections. I know I am capable of doing this. This is a really great way to just give yourself that self-esteem boost, give you that confidence internally within your mindset and shaping your mindset to know that you can do this. Practice, practice, practice. So try to go to as many networking events as you can, but do it in a way where it's strategic to, being able to take breaks and recharge yourself. Just continue to get out there and attend networking events. Bring your networking buddy. You can hit me up. I'll go to a networking event with you. I'm always more than happy to do that. But definitely continue to practice. Create a self-care routine for yourself, recharge, make sure you're taking that time to really take care of yourself so that you can get back out there and socialize more. Always remember to be yourself and show up as your best self. Be kind to yourself, take care of you, and always celebrate your milestones because networking is not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it is very rewarding. So this is my final slide. I'm more than happy to answer any other questions. If you can please take some time to either scan the QR code. I don't know if you can do that through your laptops or computers, but if you are able to scan the QR code and submit my brief survey that I just put together to get some feedback, I want to continue offering this workshop and this information to individuals as much as I can for those who identify as introverts or someone who is shy. So I want to learn, how did this help you? What can I change? What can I make in the future? I promise you will not hurt my feelings if it's something that wasn't good for you, because this is going to teach me too. So again, being able to accept and take in new information. If you can't scan the QR code, you can put in that link there, and that'll take you to the feedback survey as well. Also, as a bonus, if you do submit that survey and you would like me to reach out to you directly, I will send you a networking cheat sheet that you can use going forward. So if you are interested, excuse me, in getting a networking cheat sheet, please fill out that survey and I can get that sent out to you. You can also you can also stay in touch with me by emailing me at my Progress Center email address. Feel free to also take a look at the Progress Center's website. And then I have my LinkedIn and Facebook names up there, as well as like Instagram and TikTok, if you guys do that as well. But yes, please feel free to stay in touch with me and reach out. And if you submit that feedback survey, I will definitely get out a networking cheat sheet to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Jazmynn. I know we've got a couple more questions that have come in here, and I do have a couple myself as well. The
Okay,
recording, I know this one has come through a couple times here. So the event is being recorded and will be shared on our YouTube page roughly a week after the event. I'll go ahead and I'll email everyone who registered for this event, and
wonderful.
that link will then be shared with you via your email address in which you used to sign up for this event. But first and foremost, Jazmynn, thanks so much for sharing your insights today in regards to some great networking tips, especially for those who are a little bit more introverted. I have a question for you, though, and that we always like to ask every speaker here at DreamBank, because we are a community that is built up of fellow fearless dreamers. What's one piece of advice you have for someone who's actively pursuing a dream right now?
I would say always remember to no matter what your dream is, know that you can achieve that dream as long as you do the work and you have the mindset and you remind yourself that you can do it. I don't think dreams are outside of anyone's reach. I feel like anyone can attain a dream that they want to attain. So I feel like as long as you are doing that work and putting in that time and taking time to also take care of yourself in the process, that you can achieve that dream.
I love it. Thanks so much for that. We are right at time, so we will go ahead and cap it there. Thank you so much, Jazmynn, for this presentation. Thank you all for
Thank
taking the time
you.
out of your day to join us here. We will go ahead and see you all next time. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.